and it's about water. And let me introduce this by telling you that Peterborough is not only one of the most diverse communities in the country, we're one of the fastest growing cities. That brings challenges for city planners to ensure enough schools and teachers, jobs, doctors, homes, shops, recreation, roads, rubbish collection, and even sufficient space in our cemeteries. But I wonder if we give much thought to what happens when we turn on the tap or flush the toilet. Living in Britain, we have come to expect clean, safe and good-tasting drinking water whenever we turn on the tap, and delivered at a pressure that allows us to wash the car or water the garden with that same safe drinking water. Now, tomorrow is World Water Day, when we focus on those who do not have the benefits of plentiful water to help them through each day. So for this first half of the show, I'm delighted to welcome my guest, Diane Roberts, a volunteer educator with the international charity WaterAid. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you, Adrian. It's absolutely lovely to be here, and on a very special time, really, to talk about Water Day and how we should be thinking about it going forward to try and conserve water, and also the impact of having lack of water makes to communities across the world. We take it, as you quite rightly said, for granted that we can turn a tap on, but also 1 in 9 people around the world do not have access to clean drinking water. And that affects their whole life, as you can well imagine.
Gosh, yes.
Absolutely. So WaterAid, globally, we work in 34 countries around the world. And what we're doing is trying to bring clean water and sanitation and good hygiene to those families and people across the world. It's not an easy job, Adrian, as you can well imagine. And it involves talking to governments and communities and putting the infrastructure in place in those areas.
So are you like a project management type organisation, and you network with governments and charities?
Absolutely. That's so important to work with communities and to put the infrastructure in place where we can, but also to encourage the politicians and the governments around the world to take responsibility as well for their own communities. But of course, that's what WaterAid does, is to provide that support across the world.
Now, I was reading about the United Nations Convention on Human Rights. It was first signed in 1948, but it wasn't until 2002 that water became a basic human right.
Absolutely. And water is a basic human right for all of us. We need to also be more aware going forward, because water is actually becoming scarcer. What we're seeing across the world is that agriculture and industry is pulling water away that was used for people's just drinking water and general needs. So it's actually becoming scarcer. So although WaterAid's vision was by 2030 for everyone to have access to clean water and a decent toilet and good hygiene, it is becoming more difficult with the water becoming scarcer. We've got global warming, which is an issue, as well as I've mentioned, industry and agriculture pulling on the water. You might be interested to actually know that if you was to look at it, that all the water in the world, if you fitted that into a bucket, a teacup is water that we can use. And a teaspoon is clean water that we can drink.
Right.
So it's a fascinating fact that although if you look at the water that we have in the world, so little of it is what we can use.
So it really behoves us to look after what falls from the sky, what collects in rivers and lakes, that we make it clean and we make it available to people.
Absolutely. And World Water Day, one of the things that we're trying to say to people is that we can all help in our own ways as well. If you just look at things that take a lot of water, for instance, your cup of coffee in the morning, although drinking your cup of coffee doesn't seem a lot, it's taken an awful amount of water to ground those coffee beans. So it's thinking of things like that and not wasting, not being wasteful. A third of the food that we produce, we throw away in the world.
Gosh.
Now, that's a scary thought.
Yes.
So it has an impact on our water footprint, just the same as it does on our carbon footprint. So if we can be less wasteful, if we can save water, we will make a difference in our own small way. But one of the things that I suppose in respect of WaterAid's aim in trying to get to a position in 2030 that people will have access to clean water, that is, as you said at the start, a basic human right and need.
So let's look at WaterAid's work overseas. 34 different countries you work in. Have you an example perhaps for us of how you're achieving change and making a real difference for people?
Absolutely. For example, one of the villages that we work in, the Sahor district in India, just to bring it quite humanise it, if you like, one of the villagers is named Yogita. She's 25 and she has an 11-month-old son. Now, fetching water dominates her life. She has to fetch water up to 6 times a day from a hand pump around half a kilometre from her home. She has to leave her son with a neighbour, and sometimes she gets up in the middle of the night and again at dawn to collect water before the pump goes dry. And during the summer, her husband cycles 3 kilometres to get the family's water. All of the time, they're queuing up to fetch water. That is how their life revolves. Sometimes they don't even eat because the important task at hand is to collect the water. And it is a massive problem in that village. The search for water dominates their lives, and during the summer months, when many of the hand pumps go dry, they can wait hours for a single bucket of water. So you can understand the hardship that those villagers and those people are going through. So WaterAid is working here, it's one of the villages we're working here, encouraging water conservation and working to improve conditions. And that's just one example of the vital work that WaterAid is doing.
And it has a knock-on positive effect, because I imagine when the women and the children, and they're the ones who tend to go and fetch the water, when they're not spending most of their waking day fetching water, they can do other things. Absolutely.
And it does fall on the women in most cases. In 80% of cases, it's the women that go to collect the water. And one fact that I thought was quite fascinating, really, or takes you back a little, is that the actual implements that they collect the water in, the water butts, if you like, or the water buckets that they carry on their heads, the average weight of that is 20 kilograms. And that's the weight of one of your suitcases when you're going on holiday, Adrian.
Yes, it is.
So when you struggle to put that suitcase on the weighing machine at the airport, just think that some poor woman in an area that has no access to water has walked probably half an hour with that on her head. And she'll do that 2 or 3 times a day.
Surely.
And that creates problems with their back and with their necks, as you can imagine. So it's a real hardship.
Now, something else I've found out about WaterAid is that you like using low-key technology.
Yes, well, if you're actually putting infrastructure or wells in place in the middle of a desert, you've got to be able to teach the locals and have the resources there to mend things when things go wrong. So it is important to try and keep it actually as basic as you possibly can.
And that must apply not only to clean water and filtering and the piping of that water, but also to sanitation.
Yes, very much so. And one of the interesting things that we've been able to do is been able to actually use the waste to then fertilise the land. So in places like Nepal, we've been able to use the actual human waste for them to be able to fertilise their own land. So it's doing two things, really. It's providing them with sanitation, which means there's less disease, better health, as you quite rightly said earlier on, but also it's providing some fertilisation for their fields.
Yes, indeed. Now, it's not only overseas countries and third world countries that are going to face a water shortage. Here in the United Kingdom, there is a suggestion from scientists that we're not going to have enough water to meet all of our needs. I've got some figures here. The United Kingdom population is set to rise to 75 million by the middle of the century. And within that time, more than half of our summers are expected to be hotter than we've experienced recently. England will face water shortages. We don't have enough storage. We don't have enough rain falling from the sky in order to provide water for us all unless action is taken. And Sir James Bevan, the Chief Executive of the Environment Agency, said, "In around 25 years, we will not have enough water to supply our needs unless we take action to change things. We need water wastage to be as socially unacceptable as blowing smoke in the face of a baby or throwing your plastic bags into the sea." So where can we find out more about saving water to save the planet?
Well, it's quite the actual World Water Day has quite a bit of publicity,
yes.
Absolutely. And there are things in there that you'll be able to read and look at. Also, you may be able to find access to some of that information on the WaterAid website.
Surely, yeah. Well, we'll carry on Salaam Radio's website links to those pages, and particularly World Water Day and the information that's coming out from them. Now, there is one great idea that I've recently heard about that's starting to become popular in this country, and it's called Find Water on the Go at a refilling station.
Ah.
Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
Well, okay. There's a website, refill.org.uk, and an app that you can download, and that's where you take your reusable water bottle and fill it up for free.
Excellent.
So what a great idea. Now the warmer weather is with us, you can just go into a shop or a cafe or a bar. It's good for those premises because they're seeing a greater footfall. People are coming in and being offered the opportunity to refill their water bottle for free. It's a lovely idea. Now, the problem is Peterborough doesn't have any of them. The nearest place I need to go to refill my water bottle at the moment, according to the map on refill.org.uk, is Cambridge. So come on, people of Peterborough, shops, bars, clubs, places of entertainment, offer that opportunity to refill, become a refilling station. How about that for an idea?
Excellent, Adrian.
I want to come back to the water footprint idea that's come out in the World Water Day report. You mentioned the example of a cup of coffee, and it takes 140 litres of water not to fill your cup of coffee, but to process the grains of coffee before you get it to mix. Rice, avocados, cotton, for example, takes so many thousands of litres of water just to make a very small amount.
Absolutely. And I think that's where we can all be more mindful. And that's in respect about being knowledgeable and having that education and knowing that the effect that things like that are having on our water supplies across the world. We don't want countries not to be able to grow and not to be able to prosper, which is what they do through industry and agriculture. But we need those companies to also take responsibility for the water, and so that it doesn't impact on the local people. That is so important.
I suppose house owners in this country might be a little bit grieved because the cost of water, the water bills have been going up year after year for 20, 30 years. We pay considerably more now for our water services and our sewage services. We should expect the water companies to provide everything we need.
I think when you look at how people and communities suffer through lack of water, I think sometimes we take it for granted.
Yeah.
Just how fortunate we are. From the moment we wake up in the morning, that morning cup of coffee, the shower, brushing our teeth, all of the things that we use our water for throughout the day, and we just turn a tap. We haven't had to walk 30 minutes for a bucket of water.
And we know that water that comes out of the tap is clean.
Absolutely. There are 800 children and babies a day die through disease caused by poor sanitation and lack of clean water.
Wow.
That is quite some statistic.
What a shame that is.
Absolutely.
Yes. I did once hear, I used to work in the water industry in this country, and I did once hear that the water industry was described as the National Health Service, because if we provide clean water and we take away wastewater and sanitation from people and treat it well and put it back into the environment, into rivers and onto fields and ultimately into the sea, then we are securing the nation's health.
Certainly. I think you might know the statistic better than me, Adrian, but I think isn't there a statistic that says something we can only survive, is it 3 days without water? It's a very short time span.
Yes.
We can survive a lot longer without food than we can without water.
Yeah, indeed. The other thing I remember from my work in the water industry is just how many different chemicals and biological substances are tested for in our water. You tend to think, well, it comes out of the tap and it looks clean, so it must be clean. But over 60 different chemicals and biological tests are done on every water that's produced, so that we know that what comes out of the tap is going to be safe.
Absolutely. We're incredibly fortunate in this country to live in a country that we do, that we don't have that hardship as others.
Yeah. Well, our time is coming to an end because I have another guest to come and join us in just a moment, who is coming to talk about Sadaka Day. So let me just round off with Diane and say a very big thank you for coming. You're a volunteer educator with WaterAid, the international charity that helps to provide clean water and sanitation for 34 countries around the world. It's fantastic work that WaterAid doing, and fantastic work that you're doing in helping to educate people about looking after ourselves with water and sanitation. Diane, thank you so very much for joining us.
And thank you for having us, Adrian. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Hello there.
Hello.
Hello, this is Adrian on Community Matters. Who's calling, please?
Hello, Adrian. It's Rahana Kauza here.
Hello, Rahana. And you've come to talk to us about Sadaqah Day.
Yes, I'm talking about Sadaqah Day, which will take place this Sunday on the 24th of March.
Mm-hmm.
So it's happening this Sunday. We've got lots of different activities that all parts of the community can get involved in. Sadaqah, the word itself, or the concept of it, comes from Islamic teachings that are based on charitable giving. And in terms of charity, sometimes traditionally people think that charity has to be given in terms of financial giving. But the concept and the main methodology or the theology of the day is that we do good and nice acts of kindness for other people. That will basically make a small difference, make a large difference, or bring a smile to a different person's face. So that's the objective of the day.
What a lovely thought, that idea of giving not so much as giving our money, but giving what is precious to many of us, and that is our time.
That's it.
And even to the extent of bringing a smile to somebody's face that might otherwise stay miserable. Now, this is a theology that's come from Islam, but it's something that you're wanting all communities to take part in?
Absolutely. So the aim is that we go to make a difference to people that we won't necessarily consider making a difference to in our day-to-day life. So we've got 5 different activities, actually 6 different activities that are going on in terms of the build-up to the day. So the first thing that's going to be happening is there's members of the Jewish community and members of the Muslim community that have come together as part of a women's group called Nisa and Nisham. And what they're going to be doing with members of the community is baking cakes for the homeless. So that'll take place on Sunday morning at the soup kitchen. And, you know, that's not something that is focused around Muslim people. It's about different communities coming together and doing something for other communities. On the day, we also have volunteers coming together that will plant flowers and plant seeds in different parts of their local community. So that will bring a smile to a person's face in terms of, you know, making the environment look nicer, make it look cleaner. The other thing that people can get involved in is litter picking. So we've got the local fire service coming down on Sunday afternoon. They're going to bring their fire engine along so that children can have an experience in terms of having a look at it and get a feel for getting in there and interacting with it. But they will also be helping local volunteers from the mosque, from Masjid Kharija, to clean the area up. So, you know, obviously, sometimes people are a little bit careless, we can be careless, and we might drop a little bit of litter here and there. So what we're going to do is clean up our local area with the objective of making it a more regular thing and encouraging people to take a little bit more responsibility for, you know, just being that little bit more active and cleaning up after themselves. On Sunday, we also have a group of volunteers going to a local care home where they will go and spend time with the elderly, share a cup of tea, share a cake, and just have a conversation with people that they won't normally do. So, yeah, that's what they're doing. We've also got pupils at local schools making cards for people at the Sue Ryder Hospice. So lots of different things going on, which will encourage communities to come together and just make a small difference, even if it's a small difference, but make a difference to people around them.
Okay, so if somebody's thinking, I'm not really sure whether I could do one or two of these things, how can I find out more? Can they come along to Khadija Mosque? Yes,
at 2 o'clock they can come along to Khadija Mosque and find out a little bit more. The different activities will go on at different times of the day. So cake baking is going to start at 10 o'clock. Visits to the care home will start at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
So if people want to
just coming to the break, Rahana. I just want to thank you so much, and we will put details of everything on the Salaam radio website. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Adrian.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
1 in every 10 people live without access to safe, clean water. Let's give them a better choice than drinking either dirty water or no water at all. Together, we can turn this desperate situation around by delivering safe water solutions to the world's poorest people. Call 0161 225 0225 or visit humanappeal.org.uk.
Where can you get high quality and low prices? Amar Food Store and Halal Meat in Lincoln Road, Triangle is the place to go. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. Also send money to Pakistan absolutely free. We have all top brands at special offers, offer free customer parking and provide a free local delivery service. Amar Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call us on 01733 687 374. High in quality, low in prices.
Peterborough just got a whole lot tastier. Five Lads Flame Grilled Peri Peri Chicken is now open. Bring your family and friends to Peterborough's first HMC meat selling restaurant. We are experts in grilled chicken, lamb chops and gourmet lamb and beef burgers. Our healthy options include fresh salads and fresh grilled vegetables. Fresh, clean and healthy grilled food with 4 different flavours: lemon and herb, medium, hot and extra hot. 5-star hygiene rating. Eat in, order and collect or order for delivery on Deliveroo. Follow 5 Lads Peterborough on Facebook and Instagram 5 Lads. 15 Cowgate, Peterborough, PE1 1LZ. Call 01733 56 22 87. Open 7 days a week, 12 to 11 p.m.
Al Murad Tiles. With over 70 stores nationwide, we are now open in Peterborough. Up to 50% discount offers now on. Largest selection of tiles. Full bathroom suites from only £189. Paint, LED lighting, laminate flooring from only £7.99. Over 1,000 designs of wallpaper in stock. We have everything you need. Come and visit us at 193 Fengate, Peterborough, PE1 5BH, or call us on 01733 34 58 47. Al Murad Tiles, now open.
Sadaqah Day is a day of giving which everyone is invited to partake in. On the 24th of March, you can help by volunteering at a care home, baking cakes for the homeless and planting flowers at a local hospice. Make your area cleaner alongside the fire service, or help buy necessities for women at a local refuge. Contact rahana.corsa@ukimpeterborough.org.uk for more information.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من رغب عن سنتي فليس مني, that whoever abandons my sunnah is not from me.
Broadcasting 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is Salaam Radio.
Welcome back to Salaam Radio on 106.2 FM and online at salamradio.co.uk. This is Adrian Holdstock presenting Community Matters, the radio show for all communities across Peterborough and beyond. I'm sure everyone has been shocked and sickened by the shootings in 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand last Friday. And this morning we awoke to news from Birmingham that 5 mosques had been physically attacked overnight with sledgehammers. To help us understand what is happening and how the authorities are responding, I'm joined on the telephone by Naveed Malik, Assistant Chief Constable with 29 years service. He's the highest ranked British Pakistani Muslim officer in the UK. Are you there on the phone, Mr. Malik?
Yeah, hello Adrian, and Assalamu alaikum to all your listeners.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you for joining us. I gather you are travelling on a train at the moment.
I am, so excuse me.
Okay. Now, you've been Assistant Chief Constable in Cambridgeshire Police, but now you're the Head of Operational Communications in Policing, a team that supports the Home Office in providing the right technology to support our law enforcement. And with your wide experience of policing, I'd like to start by asking, what can you tell us about the latest attacks?
You lost me then, I'm back on the line.
Okay. I was just asking, what can you tell us about the latest attacks, both last Friday in Christchurch and this morning in Birmingham?
So Adrian, clearly, the attacks took place in New Zealand last week were horrific. You know, there was an individual who's been idolised through right-wing extremism type behaviour, targeting, defenceless individuals praying in a mosque, absolutely abhorrent. I think the whole country, the whole world has actually come out against it, and the outpouring of love and sort of support has been immense. But clearly, we completely are against that kind of behaviour, be it from Islamist-type individuals who've committed atrocities in the past to clearly people from the far right. So horrific. And then sadly this morning there have been some attacks on mosques in Birmingham, and it's really sad to see that. And obviously we want to make sure that all communities live in peace and harmony, and we don't want any kind of retaliatory attacks towards any community. And sadly the Muslim community are feeling under a lot of spotlight at the moment.
Now, news reports from New Zealand suggest that their security services didn't know anything about the extremist who murdered and injured so many Muslims. How can that happen?
So it's quite a
we seem to have... Hello again?
Hello, can you hear me then?
Now you're back with us, yes, thank you.
Sorry, I was saying, Adrian, it is quite a complex picture, trying to understand who in our community holds hatred for others. So, for communities who might have some sort of awful sort of feelings for hate towards
I'm sorry, we're not getting a really good line here. We're going to try and find a fresh line so we can contact. Obviously, when the train is travelling in tunnels or cuttings, we're not getting through. The concern I was wanting to express was that here was a lone extremist, a visitor to New Zealand from Australia, not known to the security services. I'm wondering how on earth we can protect against somebody coming from abroad, somebody who's not known to the security services. What's the answer?
I think the answer is communities being very vigilant. Communities themselves helping themselves by reporting individuals who are acting in a strange way, their behaviour changing, the company perhaps they're keeping, and we need that community intelligence. The police and security agencies are really effective and efficient, but we can't be everywhere at the same time, so we need to make sure we support our endeavours and our work.
Yeah, and we do have, I've experienced in Peterborough the processes that we have in place, the prevent strategy and hate crime reporting, these seem to be very, very well organised. Oh, we've lost Nav Malik again. Let me just fill in while we try and get him back on the line. The other thing I note from New Zealand is that they're working very quickly to change their gun laws. I was amazed to hear that you could legitimately buy automatic weapons in New Zealand. What on earth would you need automatic weapons for in New Zealand? And I just hope that in our country, in the United Kingdom, our gun laws are tighter and will remain much tighter. The next thing I think we do need to know is, here in Peterborough, is what can Muslims do, and local residents as well. What can we all do as citizens of Peterborough to help protect our homes and schools and places of worship? So Nav Malik was recently just talking about the intelligence that is gathered. Anything that we see that is suspicious, anyone that we hear is suggesting threats or talking in extremist ways, we really should be able to. And here, are you back again with us?
Adrian, apologies for that. I do apologise to your listeners.
Ah, that's a better line indeed.
Oh, good. Good.
That's really good. I was just talking about people here in Peterborough, both Muslims and others, citizens of Peterborough. What we can do to help protect ourselves. And you were talking about being vigilant and reporting anything that they see or hear that they think might be suspicious. How would they make those reports?
Sure. If I step back a step, Adrian, I think really important for the Muslim community is to keep on doing their work about engaging with other faiths and talking about how important Muslim, how important Islam is in terms of.
Okay. It's such a. I really want to have a really good conversation with Nav Malik, but it's not helpful to our programme to keep dropping in and out of this telephone call. So let me just take the topic myself for the next few minutes. What we understand has been happening is in response, not just in response to these very recent issues, but in response to terror and hate crime and threats against any part of our community. And that could be Christian or Jewish or Islam or any other sector of our community, is that we all want to live in peace and tolerance of one another. And one way to do that is to overcome those occasions when people don't understand what sort of organisation you are, don't understand why you do things differently from them, and therefore create a sense of fear. And that fear leads to hatred, and that hatred leads to violence, because basically we're afraid of somebody who is different from us. And what I'm so pleased and proud of in this area of Peterborough where I live and my church is, the mosques are making themselves places of welcome to all communities. So we've just been hearing about Sadaqah Day and Khadija Mosque being open to all communities to come and participate in volunteering for that. But a couple of Sundays ago, the mosques were open for Mosque Open Day. Over 250 mosques up and down the country, including 3 or 4 mosques in Peterborough, have been open to encourage people to come and see Muslims at worship and Muslims associating, to hear the sermons that they're being taught, and to understand how they're wanting to thrive as British citizens, following a religion which is enabling them to grow in faith towards Allah understanding that Islam is looking for them to be at peace with all their neighbours. Now, last Friday, we woke up to the news that the dreadful massacre had occurred in Christchurch. I sent an early message of love and peace to my Muslim neighbours and friends. I took some cards around expressing that message with some pictures of tulips on, and took those to the 3 largest mosques in St Mark's Parish. And I stayed at Khadija Mosque over lunchtime and was able to, really privileged to see something like 100 men come and worship there and hear the Jummah prayers and the sermon, which was, as you might imagine, about peace. And I want to say to anyone who is not Muslim, do get along to the local mosque. You will be made welcome. You will have an opportunity to hear the messages of peace. There was a lovely story also this week on that Friday in Manchester. A white British man took a sandwich board and hung it round his neck, stood outside the mosque with a message of peace and love to Muslim neighbours. And you can imagine, as Muslims were arriving for their prayers, initially they were rather wondering, what is this person doing here? But as the message was read from the board and they realised that he was there in solidarity, saying, we're all citizens. We love one another. We want to live at peace. They were so welcomed. I think tears may have come to the eyes as well. Now, there's something coming up to enable us to express our neighbourliness as citizens of Peterborough. It's called Support Our Muslim Neighbours, and it's a Peterborough Community Vigil. It's going to be held on Cathedral Green tomorrow, Friday the 22nd of March, from 5 p.m. Now, Cathedral Green is the large grass area outside the west end of the cathedral. Everyone is welcome to this. And what we're aiming for is that between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, the whole Peterborough community will stand together as one in remembrance of the victims of the terrorist attack in mosques in Christchurch. Victims of terror, hate, bigotry, racism, Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. None of that is acceptable in a modern civilized world. And just by standing together, people of all faiths and no faith, but people of the human race, standing together as one community against those who are trying to divide us. We're delighted to hear that the Mayor of Peterborough will be coming along with other senior members of our city. Everyone is welcome, and that will be a wonderful opportunity for us to say, what you have done with this terrible act in Christchurch is bring us closer together, give us a greater resolve to be able to withstand hatred and evil, and we shall withstand, and human race and human dignity will prevail.
We're here on this special